Oh boy, so you're telling me this is going to be the next president of the United States?
Hardcore parkour! Hardcore parkour! Hardcore parkour! Hardcore parkour!
As of course, I cannot wait for the memes to begin. But will that actually happen with all the right-wing MAGA civil war infighting happening right now? As of course, people are just fighting each other. How much of this is engineered? How much of this is legitimate? As now, the targets of the latest attack pieces are Matt Walsh and Brett Cooper, being attacked by some very interesting people, to say the least here. As of course, the Heritage Foundation is continuing on with their struggle sessions in total embarrassment as the left is having victory laps all around us and celebrating, cheering on our real-life demise. Now, this civil war is centered around one particular issue that it looks like the young kids at the TPUSA event will not let go. And now at almost every college stop, they're being asked about it, as Nick Fuentes has some divisive words and policies here being initiated as MTG is coming out and might potentially be running for the presidency of the United States. Why? Well, AOC is telling everyone it's predominantly because Trump told her not to run as a senator. Is that actually what's going on here? As MTG had some very interesting things to say about The View, the New York Post categorized it in a very interesting way. What's really going on here? We're going to get into that and a lot more. As of course, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to the very type of tumultuous right-wing situation unfolding right now. And if you appreciate these type of conversations, subscribe, click the notification button. We greatly appreciate all the time that you spend with us. As we have Matt Von Swall on Twitter saying, I know I'm new to the conservative movement, but what is going on while all the conservatives are attempting to fight each other and tear each other apart? Good question. Great question. As a lot of this, I think, has to be questioned from top down. Who's incentivizing some of these algorithms? Is this just a natural tendency to tilt your head over to the car crash that's happening all in front of us? As of course, Nick Fuentes now has been going after Matt Walsh, telling him to pick a side. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of that. Let's stop doing that. I don't think that's the right approach here, as he's coming out and now defending all the attacks happening against J.D. Vance. As a lot of right-wingers are seeing J.D. Vance as their type of candidate that's been able to talk about the controversial issues in a, in a very nuanced way. As other people are saying, yeah, MTG might be the, quote, groiper of choice. Who really will be chosen here is, of course, now Brett Cooper is the one that's being attacked here, as she came out and said, guys, be adults. You guys are professional politicians. Stop talking about people platforming and talking and what they can and cannot say and how they can express themselves, even going as far as to suggest that Congressman Randy Fine should go back to Israel since he's going to be a lot happier there. Now, Ariana Lexwiller is attacking her, saying that she's the growing list of people who make terrible, easy, disprovable points. Again, stop. Just stop it. Can we be adults here? As of course, now the Heritage Foundation is involved in a lot of this drama, as there's a major effort to try to deplatform and attack Tucker Carlson for hosting Nick Fuentes. And the Heritage Foundation made a statement saying, yeah, whatever, free speech. Then they're like, oh, crap, oh, no, we can't say that. As Mike Cernovich here is making some very good points, as he's coming out and saying, yeah, in 2020, the Heritage Foundation worshipped George Floyd and endorsed BLM. They called police racist. There was no outcry. Now there's an outcry as the Heritage Foundation representatives having a meltdown because of his video defending Tucker Carlson. How dare he? And again, Mike Cernovich, a struggle session right out of Mao's revolution. Yeah, what are you doing? This is pathetic. This is stupid. As now, the establishment neocon, crazy, insane, woke, I would say they're the original woke right, is coming out and is even bringing together Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes, two people that were at each other's throats, tearing each other down just a few days ago, as Nick Fuentes says, quote, "This feels like Trump 2016 energy. Same hysterical and out of touch basket of deplorables condemnation from the Republican establishment. Same sense of unstoppable momentum and historical inevitability for the Groypers. We are going to win." Candace Owens responded to this saying, because it's literally coming from the 2016 Never Trumpers. They're running the same exact playbook, and their playbook failed. As Nick Fuentes responded here, and what looks like a very cordial response between the two, which is surprising, saying it's literally identical, highlighting how Ben Shapiro was previously a Never Trumper, telling people to never vote for them, as Nick Fuentes just a few months ago was telling people not to vote for Donald Trump. As now, he's also saying, we'll do the same for J.D. Vance, as a lot of people are saying, well, you're telling people not to vote for Donald Trump a couple months ago, almost a year ago. Didn't really work. And they're saying now these attacks on J.D. Vance aren't going to work. As now, the conversation is centered all around, let's be honest, Israel. Whether you like it or not, that's where the conversation's centered. As right now, almost every TPUSA event, every time they do a Q&A, every time it's unscripted, there's always a question about Israel. And as this young man had this question to ask to Erica and Laura Trump.
$130 million from pro-Israel groups. During the summer against Iran, even though he advised against it, Israel still attacked Iran, and the U.S. still bombed on behalf of Israel. Your father's frustrations with Netanyahu have been made clear when he cursed on national TV over the situation. Israel has not been a great ally to the U.S. all the way since 1960 when they bombed the USS Liberty. Israel is a nation where Christians are constantly under attack in both Gaza and the West Bank.
That's true. No one wants to talk about that either. But a lot of the people on the right are like, hey, can we have a conversation about this? This is messed up, especially when it comes to Congressman Matt Gaetz that has been talking about it and getting a lot of pressure because of it.
We talk about America first and defending Christians. But how can we do this if we align ourselves with a nation that does not do that itself?
So then, you got a round of applause. Eric Trump talked about Iran. And then at about a minute later, then he talked about, hey, Trump just wants peace. Here's what he had to say 2 minutes into this particular Q&A after then going off about Iran.
Way of life. They wanted to hurt us. They wanted to inflict real pain. What I can tell you about my father is in terms of Israel, he wants a peaceful Middle East. He wants peace around the world. He wants to end the killing. He did that with India and Pakistan. He did that, obviously, you saw what he did with Cambodia and Thailand. He's tried to...
Azerbaijan is another one. But listen, okay, that record is clear. But sending in more weapons and munitions and foreign aid and a quarter of our THAAD missile defense systems maybe isn't the best way of going about that, right? Maybe not pushing back against Bibi that hasn't been respectful of him would be more of an appropriate type of response.
Stop every conflict because he's sick and tired of the death and destruction. So there have been times that he got mad at Netanyahu. There's plenty of times where he's gotten mad at Putin. There's times where he's been mad at Zelensky. And he uses all of that as a tool to stop pain and destruction and death of people that are our age, your age in most cases, who have become political pawns and who have been marched into literally trenches and killed by the millions. And that's what my father wants to see end right this second. And that's why he's worked so hard for peace around the world. In fact, Donald Trump is the only president in the United States history.
And listen, give credit where credit's due. There are some conflicts that have been stopped, but some are not that beneficial, as of course it is important to note here. And I'm going to do Steelman, Strawman. Favorable, unfavorable. Bombing Iran destroyed the peace talks in Ukraine, right? The Russians were like, yeah, they didn't negotiate in good faith. This was a disinformation campaign. And then they start bombing one of our allies. Right? Saber rattling, saying we're going to invade and sending military resources and spending a ton of money on bombing Iran and now potentially even like scaring to bomb Venezuela in order to get rid of Venezuela. Also sends a message of like, you're not taking care of the American people. Now, to be favorable to Donald Trump, the peace deal in Gaza has so far, even though Israel broke it twice, stayed. Israel will argue that Gazans have broke it, whatever. There was already 2 skirmishes. Luckily, so far, everything's still sticking. Now, Nick had some very interesting things to say about the loss of the election this week. As, of course, a lot of people are saying he's just trying to tear everything down, as the MTG now is coming out and potentially positioning herself to become the next president of the United States. Will that happen? Well, before playing those clips and talking about it, we just quickly wanted to remind you, check out wearechange.shop. One of the best-selling supplements we got is, of course, our creatine. Very powerful, very amazing, very incredible stuff. I was just on Instagram once again, and now new research is revealing that creatine supplementation improves memory by up to 31% and processing speed up to 51%. People are like, hey, how are you doing 4 times the work that you used to be doing? I started to research, and I was like, okay, what am I gonna do to get out of this tax burden? I was like, I need to work, because the IRS came and took everything from me, and I'm like, I'll create a store, and then like I'm working nonstop, insanely long hours. Creatine has helped me out tremendously. I cannot recommend it enough. Listen, there's other people now trying to sell it in our space. If they can't tell you where it's from, do not trust it. I don't trust it. There's a lot of fake. There's a lot of scams. There's a lot of heavy metals in some of them. Ours, 99.9% pure from Germany. They can't tell you it's from Germany. Don't trust it. I'm telling you. Lots of fake nonsense out there. $53, 2-month supply. Get it on wearechange.shop while supplies last. We're already asking to restock. It's taken a while. Get it while, of course, we still have it. Can't recommend this stuff enough. It is incredible, and it has helped me out tremendously. Now, here's Nick Fuentes on his show talking about how MAGA failed, a blue wave just happened, and how the Grippers are happy about this. Now, personally, I'm not happy about this. But he says this is a sign that we're going to win in 2028. I don't know about that.
We're going to play hardball. It's all for nothing if we don't take it to the Capitol. Don't you understand? We're not fighting for control of the hinterlands. We're not fighting for control of some empty plot of land. We are fighting for control of the Capitol. It's a Capitol siege, metaphorically. Don't you understand that's how a war works? You surround and occupy the capital cities of the country. That's what we need to do. New York, LA, DC, we need to occupy, politically speaking, the capital, the center of power. You have to infiltrate the institutions. To do that, we need to play hardball. And in 2028, this is when we make our entrance onto the stage.
Now, is that true? We'll see exactly what happens here, but we got a lot of other people criticizing this, saying that Nick Fuentes is admitting that they're trying to actively bring down MAGA. I don't think he said exactly that, but again, all of this divisive nature is met now with MTG, who has been a voice for a lot of the disenfranchised MAGA people out there, as she's able to come out and talk about the Epstein list. She's able to talk about cost of healthcare. She's able to talk about a lot of the key issues that a lot of the kind of Trump kind of Republicans are afraid to talk about, that resonate with a lot of people who are disenfranchised by some of the political moves being made here under this administration. As Mike Cernovich even talks about how the donor class is being given everything that they want here, and that needs to change dramatically. MTG came out in response to the election results and saying, hey, there's a lot of Republicans that are disenfranchised. To stop that, we got to make America first only. We got to focus on making America healthy again. Donald Trump responded by like, hey, we're going to have cheap Ozempic. I'm like, no, like, come on. Please look up the side effects for Ozempic before taking it and considering it. Please look at exercise and healthy alternatives. 3, she talked about how Americans are suffering from high cost of living, rising food and energy prices. That is all true. And leaving them out to dry with no plan on our skyrocketing health insurance premiums. Yeah, that's a big issue. As she says, you can't meme and throw red meat rants in interviews and get your way out of this. These people are serious and only support action. They're done with words. I completely agree with them. As now, Donald Trump yesterday, right after this kind of blue wave came out and responded by saying this.
Hello to everyone at the Republican Jewish Coalition, and congratulations on 40 amazing years. I want to thank your national chairman, former Senator Norm Coleman, along with your CEO, Matt Brooks, and my friend, Miriam Adelson.
And then he came out and said Israel has never been a better friend, never had a better friend than Donald J. Trump. Of course, Israel is the proxy that is represented this kind of larger divide and conquer issue. As a lot of commentators, Asmund Gold came out and says, the youth are rebelling, and this is why the Republican Party is losing, highlighting a picture of the governor of Texas with 6 Israeli flags around him. Listen, Israel's great. Israeli people are awesome. I love Jewish people. But once you're starting to prioritize interest groups over the American people are like, what the hell? As now MTG reportedly is seriously considering to run for the presidency of the United States. As of course, I think, especially with her kind of concerns and issues, because she has been very outspoken about Epstein and the whole issue with Israel. Allegedly, now she's seeking political redemption and speaking out mainly because, according to AOC, MTG tried to run for the Senate in Georgia, and the Trump administration said no.
Tea for you. MTG, people are like, oh my God, she's saying all of these things. Like, what's gotten into her lately? Oh, like she's bucking against Trump. She's bucking against the administration. Marjorie Taylor Greene wanted to run for Senate in Georgia. She wanted to run for Senate earlier this year in the state of Georgia. She wanted to be the Republican nominee for Senate. So she was gearing up for that statewide race, and Trump told her no. Trump said no.
Now, is this why MTG is coming out and trying to run for the presidency of the United States? Well, there definitely does seem to be some kind of division between her and Donald Trump. As of course, Donald Trump says, hey, stop talking about the Epstein list. She has been talking about the Epstein list. She's also been advising against some of Donald Trump's biggest allies and closest type of advisors near him, like Laura Loomer. As recently, Tucker Carlson and MTG were asking, how does Laura Loomer get access to be a Pentagon advisor? As MTG came out and talked about how she can't legally own a firearm because of, quote, alleged mental health issues. Now, on The View, there was a very interesting conversation about the Epstein client list, which I thought she carefully tried to walk back. But again, the New York Post is reporting that MTG is breaking with Trump. She responded to that, being, no, that's not true. And then she posted multiple clips where she says, I love Donald Trump. I literally love Donald Trump. I like Donald Trump. I'm thankful for Donald Trump. I did not attack Donald
if
Trump.
I lived here. And they know what.
And even giving a more kind of pro-administration answer on what's happening in Venezuela. But this was the only time where she brought up the Epstein list that I think ruffled and brought waves into this type of MAGA Trump type of unspoken weird type of situation that all of us are in right now.
You've been outspoken about releasing the Jeffrey Epstein files to the public, including the names of individuals involved in his sex trafficking network. Now, Democrats have been calling for that too, along with some of the other Republicans, but most of your party is pushing back and stalling. Why do you think that is? Because if President Trump is not implicated in there, what is exactly being protected here?
I have no idea, but it seems like very rich and powerful men are being protected. And I will sign anybody's resolution, and I'll get on board with anyone's push to release those files, because this is about women, especially when they were teenagers, were victims of rape and sexual abuse by Jeffrey Epstein. And according to the victims, there's a list of men that they haven't released yet. They are afraid of lawsuits. They're afraid of it. And I said I would read the list for them on the House floor because I have speech and debate protection there.
That hasn't happened so far, so a lot of people are saying, why not?
However, I also think that this is about all victims of human trafficking, children that are being molested or raped. Any men and women that are held in some sort of sexual abuse situation, what does our government say to them if the government will not release the information on the most famous convicted pedophile?
Yeah. Listen, say what you may, but a lot of people are having some very serious questions about those specific policies, as everyone in the cult that's drinking the Kool-Aid was like, no, it's not an issue. Doesn't matter. Go away. Shoo. It's not going to make an impact. It is, and it is going to make an impact on the midterms. That's just the truth of it. If you're not seeing it, maybe you need a little bit more creatine on wearechange.shop. Anyway, I'm being facetious. Thank you so much for supporting me. Thank you so much for watching, subscribing, getting this video out there. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, and this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more. All here exclusively on youtube.com/wearechange.